what are the physical challenges associated with long COVID? And then the follow-up question is, what are the financial challenges that are associated with long COVID?
Thank you so much for asking, Dr. Hurd. So the physical challenges are wide and varied. Some of the more popular symptoms people are familiar with are the loss of taste, the loss of smell that can persist. A lot of folks are familiar with the brain fog that patients suffering with long COVID talk about, which is they're not as sharp as they used to be. The other thing that impacts sufferers of long COVID is shortness of breath. And this is particularly hard for those who suffer with asthma, which is a condition that's more prevalent in the African American community. So those who have asthma now have another complication, which is persistent shortness of breath. On top of that, there's tiredness or fatigue that interferes with daily life. So you have someone who wants to be productive, but they're exhausted. And they're exhausted not just for a day or two, they're exhausted for months at a time. Other things that aren't as popular that can occur with long COVID is it can actually affect the menstrual cycle from women. So it can change what they're used to in terms of their menstrual cycle. In terms of neurological symptoms, they can have headache. It can start to interfere with sleep, where folks aren't able to get enough sleep. And that's important because for people, sleep, that's the time where your immune system is able to build up and recharge and help you fight off infections. So these patients with long COVID aren't able to get adequate amount of sleep. Of course, you can have chest pain, which is painful. You can also have palpitations or rapid beating of the heart. So those who have long COVID, there's a long variety of symptoms that can occur. This can impact the patients in several ways, but I'll talk about two ways mainly. So, for example, if you're suffering from chest pain repetitively and you're going to the ER just to make sure you're not having a heart attack each time, if you don't have really good insurance or if you have decent insurance, that can lead to medical debt. And as you are aware, the African American community in the U.S. tends to have less financial resources than other communities. And so this taps out on their financial resources. If they're lucky and they don't have one of the conditions that require them to seek out medical care, but let's say they, for example, have the fatigue where they're just easily exhausted, this impacts the person's ability to go to work. If you're tired all the time and you can't produce, it'll probably be very hard for that person to maintain a job or keep their job, be productive at their job, or even get promoted at their job. So there's multiple financial impacts that long COVID has on those who suffer with it. It does count as a disability if someone is suffering from long COVID and it's impacting them in that manner, they can qualify for disability.